And I brought an interlock expert with me. Come on over here, young man. All right, raise your right hand. You tell the truth?
Yeah.
All right, what's your name?
My name's Jason Gooberman.
Are you employed?
Yes, I have a company called Interlock Device in New Jersey, and we're one of the companies approved to put interlock devices in vehicles.
Now, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Look right in the camera over there so everybody can see how handsome you are. All right. Actually, stand over here. You make us both look good. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
If I have a client and I send my client, or I'm going to tell my client he's going to plead guilty and he's going to have to install an interlock device, if he starts talking about money, what should I tell my client?
There's there's 5 companies in the state of New Jersey that are approved to put interlock devices in cars. There's 6 devices that are approved. Each company has a different fee scale because there's a number of requirements that the person has to do. Obviously, they have to get the device installed, and then they have to return to the service center every 60 days to have a monitoring check and a recalibration of the unit. Then they have to come back for removal. Some companies are going to charge for each one of those things. Other companies don't. But if you put all the fees together and you average out all the companies, that client's going to pay anywhere between $75 a month to $125 a month in total.
Now, how does the payment work?
With each company, the payment's going to be different. Like I said, some companies are going to charge for installation and then for the monitoring checks. With Interlock Device in New Jersey, we just charge a flat rent fee. We actually have 2 devices that are approved. One of them we charge $75 a month for, and the other we charge $125. So we're at both ends of the spectrum. Both our units are manufactured by Draeger.
Now, if there's an indigency issue, what do you do under those circumstances?
Under the statute, there's a portion for indigents. Anybody who is at 100% the federal poverty level is entitled to a 50% reduction in the cost. That 50% reduction is borne by the provider, so it would be borne by the company that actually does the installation and rents the device. If you are between 100% the FPL and 150%, you're entitled to a 25% reduction in cost. Again, that's borne by the provider.
So we'll be telling our clients you have to take the vehicle that you principally operate over and get an interlock device installed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Over and above the money aspect, how long does it take to install it? What's involved?
All right, so once the client is sentenced, they'll call up the different interlock companies, shop the price, shop the location, see which it is that they prefer. Once they find what company they want, they make a phone call, they set up an appointment, they come into the location. We then go through a state-required orientation, put the device in the vehicle, give them the paperwork that they need for motor vehicles in order to get their license restored, and that process takes approximately an hour and a half.
Then what happens?
After they have the device installed and they're given all the paperwork that they need, they'll then take that paperwork to motor vehicles when it's time to get their license restored, show that paperwork in addition with the IDRC stuff, proof of paying all their fines, and they're given their driver's license back. That driver's license is going to have a restriction on it, and actually on the license itself will say interlock device and a date. That date is their removal date, and should they be caught driving a car without an interlock device prior to that date, an additional citation is involved. Once that date is passed, they can go ahead and drive with that driver's license. There's no longer a restriction.
Why do they put on the driver's license? Don't they know the cops might find out that way? You have an interlock device with you?
Yeah.
Can you bring one over?
Here's the 2 Draeger devices that we use. One's a little bit newer of a model, and the other one's an older model, but they both are approved by the state of New Jersey. There's usually plastic mouthpieces that go in here. They're short little ones, not like on the Alco test.
Well, there's a difference in size between these two, but what is the main distinction in terms of the technology?
The size is the main distinction. The technology in here is newer, therefore it's smaller. Of course, this has an LCD screen. I think the test on this one's a little easier to take, but I guess it's a matter of preference.
Okay. Now, what is the BAC that the instrument is looking for?
We're regulated by motor vehicles, and they have us set the BAC level to lock the vehicle out at .05 and above.
Okay. So whoever blows in the instrument, if he has a BAC of .05 or above, then this is supposed to do something, right?
The vehicle will not start, and the display itself will show 60 minutes and counting down, and for those 60 minutes, the vehicle will be locked out. After 60 minutes has expired, you're able to take a test again, and if the BAC is under a .05, you can start the car.
All right, so let's go through it step by step. Let's say that the defendant, either he has his license back or he doesn't, it doesn't really matter. And he walks out to his vehicle in the morning. He's had his normal 5 beers before he gets in the car to wake himself up. And what happens when he wants to start his car? What's the procedure?
All right, so I step inside the car. This device,
Actually, in this case, he crawls inside the car.
this device is wired.
Just try to be realistic.
Is wired into the car's electrical system. It's not wired into the engine. So you'll imagine that this cord will be coming out of the dash somewhere. There's an additional component that's hardwired into the electrical system underneath the dash and inaccessible by the individual. So this is about all they'll see. And they'll get into the car and they'll turn their key to the on position. If they try to turn to the start position at that time, nothing will happen. The car won't start, you won't hear the engine turn over, nothing. With the key in the on position, their lights come on, radio, that sort of thing, and the device wakes up. And it says, warming up, please wait for a moment or two, about 2 seconds or so. And then it'll say, waiting for test, please blow. You'll then take the test. Each test is taken in a unique fashion. In other words, for this machine, for example, I have to blow out for 1.5 liters of air, same as the Alco test, which is a standard for these units. And at the end, once I've expired 1.5 liters of air, the machine will beep and I have to suck back in. With the other device that I showed you, the test is the opposite. You suck in real quick first and then blow out for 1.5.
What's the purpose of that?
The reason for this, and other units do it differently, but each unit does some sort of unique blow feature so that you can't use some sort of external apparatus to force air through the machine. So that's how it knows that it's a human being and not a balloon.
By the same token, you could have a substitute person come and blow and the instrument wouldn't know, is that right?
The device is not specific to an individual, so it's not like a DNA specific or something like that.
But the same token, that constitutes a separate offense. I think it's a disorderly person's offense.
It is a disorderly person's offense to either tamper with the device, blow into the unit for somebody else, or lend a car to somebody who you know is supposed to have an interlock device, a car that doesn't have one in it.
Think this through now, okay? You're in jail. What are you here for? Oh, I'm here for murder. What are you here for? Oh, I'm here for child molesting. Oh, what are you here for? Oh, I'm here for kidnapping. What are you here for? Oh, I blew in an interlock device for a friend. Anyway, okay. Now, let's say that the guy is .04, so the vehicle starts, all right?
Okay.
The alcohol's still in the stomach, hasn't reached into his brain yet.
Uh-huh.
There he is. He's driving down the street, moving on down the road at 80 miles an hour on the turnpike, okay? Are there interim tests that he has to perform?
Yes. After the initial test that you take to start the vehicle, there's additional rolling, what we call rolling retests after the initial test. So I've taken the first test and I got my car started, I start driving. Your first rolling retest is going to occur within 5 to 15 minutes of the initial test. So 5 to 15 minutes, I don't exactly know when it's coming. While I'm driving the car, the machine is going to start beeping and it's going to say, retest required, please blow. And then I have 5 minutes to pull over to the side of the road, take my test, and pass it, and the journey continues.
Now, if you're
I was
going to say, if you're a .05 or greater while you're driving, the instrument detects it. Does the car like blow up or something?
No, if during one of these retests you blow over a .05, the vehicle does not shut off, but what will occur is the horn will start going off. And also the machine inside the vehicle will start beeping really loudly. And the only way to make the two go off is to turn the engine off, and of course, in order to turn the car back on, you'll have to take an initial test.
So the engine just is cut off with the turnpike?
The engine will never shut. It will never shut the engine off. It's wired into the electrical system and the car starter, not the engine.
Now,
Is that test random, Bob?
Well, the initial retest is going to occur 5 to 15 minutes, somewhere in there at random. After the first retest, you'll have additional retests every 20 to 45 minutes, and that's going to be a random between 20 and 45. You can imagine on average 3 tests per hour.
So is there like this? That's like for talking on cell phone. Like,
well, that's just going to say,
like a DP for blowing while driving.
Can you use one hand to speak on the cell phone and the other hand to take the test and drive with steer with your knees while you're driving?
Across the country. Going to be
No, I mean there's no offense. It's not an offense under New Jersey law to take the test while you're driving, right?
No.
Now, can I ask you a question? The people who plan this, the horn is going to sound uncontrollably, right?
Yes.
And there's going to be a very obnoxious, loud sound coming out of the instrument.
Yes.
Didn't they take into consideration this might attract the attention of the cops?
Hopefully, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
Just
the hope.
checking.
But it's
All right.
it's 3 tests per hour for your entire journey?
It's 20 to 45 minutes. So imagine it's an average of 3 tests per hour.
But
Yeah.
as long as the car is...
As long as the car is in motion.
Is it a
Yes.
fuel cell or IR?
Fuel cell.
Fuel cell.